We got our special guest. He's going by an anonymous name today, John Doe. So we'll call him John from this point on. John, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you just fine. Hi, well.
All right. So you reached out to us, and you said you have a script you were working on that was curious to you.
Yeah, I think it's more than curious. So, it's like, where do I begin?
Yeah.
Okay, so during the writer's strike, which fortunately is over, the studios were all shut down. And I got invited to participate in the writing of a script, to be part of a team for something that was supposed to be kept very secret. And most scripts and shows are meant to be kept secret, so that's not really a huge surprise.
So that didn't surprise you?
Yeah, right, of course, because who wants their script leaked? But when I reveal what that script was and then what happened in the world, and some other details, it's like things aren't adding up. Or actually, no, that's the problem. Things are adding up, and that's so anyway. So
yeah, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, well, so let me get to who I was hired by. Ben Shapiro.
Ben Shapiro.
Yeah, from Breitbart, Politico, The Daily Wire.
Right.
His radio show. I mean, the guy's everywhere, very involved in conservative politics, even though he says he's libertarian, but whatever. So he saw the movie. I'm familiar with the movie The Room, that Tommy Wiseau wrote.
Yeah. It's like well,
not only
infamously bad movie that got a cult following because it's so bad.
Well, yeah, exactly. So Tommy wrote it, directed, and starred in the movie. And
right.
So Ben got the idea to want to do the exact same thing.
He said this to you?
Yeah, to the team, of course.
Yeah.
He had to give us the background for where he came up with what he wanted us to do.
That's interesting.
And and so anyway, I will tell you, he's not exactly the guy that you see on TV or the radio. He's got an ego the size of a stadium. And
you kind of see he comes off that way a bit, being very egocentric.
Well, if you think he comes off that way in public, you should see him behind the scenes.
Really?
But anyway, I don't want to get ahead of myself here. So Ben came up with the screenplay's plot, and he's a failed screenwriter, but regardless, so he did the right thing in hiring a team to do this, and I was one of the principal writers.
But Ben was, as far from my note of him, he's a novelist too, right?
He's had some success writing books, yes.
But he's a fail. Did he have success? Dirk, pull up quick an article of Ben Shapiro. All right, so we have on screen now Ben Shapiro headline: Is Ben Shapiro a failed screenwriter? Okay, so other people are talking about this too. Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, so he's in the business as a screenwriter, and he's a known novelist. Okay, go on.
And he also just several months ago, maybe half a year ago, or a little, maybe not that long, but close to it, he also joined the Screen Actors Guild.
Really?
Which, well, if he wants to star in his own movie. So he's been thinking about this for a good while.
No one's talking about that, though. Because this is actually one of the items you sent us. You have a scanned image. You kind of did some, sleuthing, because you were part of the writers team.
Well, if I want to, clearly it's not if, I am blowing the whistle here on what I see that is really not cool. I mean, this is going to end up on World News Tonight, let me tell you.
Yeah. Well, John Doe, hold on a second. We were pulling up because you have a scanned image, it looks like, that you sent us. Zoom in on this, Dirk, of Ben Shapiro's Screen Actors Guild certification. So we have his member number. We blurred out his social security number for obvious reasons. But the payment received to register was in May of this year. And you were asked to write this script in around July-ish, I believe you were saying?
Yeah, it was 2 to 3 months prior to. We're going to get to the meat here of this.
Yeah.
Prior to that attack.
Well, this is interesting because this Screen Actors Guild registration card of his actually aligns with what you're saying. So it's backing up what you're saying here. Is Ben Shapiro applied to be a Screen Actors Guild actor in May of this year. We know those horrible attacks happened in October of this year.
Right.
So this lines up. This is interesting.
Yeah. And so we were writing and wrapping up the script just 2 months before the October 7th attack. And the plot of the script is so close to identical in many ways to exactly what went down at that music festival on October 7th.
Really?
And it is just way too coincidental. The other very much like the script of our screenplay
that you were asked to write a couple months prior to the attacks.
That's right.
So that is very interesting. And you actually, I know you were kind of going out on a limb here by doing this, but you have a scanned image of a couple pages of the script. Yeah, so I think we might want to pull up some of the pages of the script you had, and then maybe we'll get into more of the deep weeds. So you emailed us a couple pages of the script. Obviously, it's not a completed piece of work.
No.
Dirk, pull up some of the script here. Zoom in. All right, so we're pulling it up now. So the title of the movie looks to be Heroes of the Torah. Screenplay by Alan Smithy, which, from what I understand, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but Alan Smithy is kind of like an industry term used for an anonymous writer, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, all the names and stuff were not fleshed out yet.
Yeah. And we have a copyright date here of August of this year, so a couple months prior to the unfortunate October attacks. So let's scroll down and let's read some of this script on air right now. All right, we're up on the page 1 here. Zoom in. All right. So Giselle, we are joined by our co-host Giselle here, of course. Do you want to read some of this script for our audience?
Sure.
So, all right, we're fading in.
Okay, so Gaza Strip Music Festival. It's dark and stormy. It's an urban city at night. The music plays. A tall tower stands in sharp silhouette against the bright moonlight.
Well, I just want to stop you there quick. So, John, there's some like handwritten notes on here. Like, what are those?
Well, those aren't mine. Those would be some of the other writers, or maybe Ben's in particular. Go ahead. I don't have it in front of me at this moment, so go ahead.
So the first handwritten note here, it says exterior Gaza Strip night. This is like a stage cue, music festival. Then there's a handwritten note that says make it electronica music. Which, from what I understand, from my recollection of the October attacks, it was an electronic music festival.
Yeah, right.
So, to me, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like you and your writing team wrote the script to be a music festival. Then Ben Shapiro himself or some of the other producers made a note saying make it specifically electronica music.
Yeah, I actually remember that conversation. And again, there's another thing that's lining up. Absolutely.
Interesting. Yep. Yeah, that's curious to me. All right, so let's move on here. So Giselle, read the next.
We see Ben Shapiro, a superhero with a strong sense of justice, flying through the sky. He's wearing a blue and white costume with a star on the chest.
Interesting. So there's another note here that says Ben's character's name TBD. So I guess when we see Ben Shapiro here, it's not going to be named Ben Shapiro, but Ben Shapiro's playing a superhero?
Superhero. Yeah. Well, I told you there was a big ego involved.
He wrote, he wants to direct, and he wants a star in this.
That's correct, yes, as the hero.
And, okay, that's interesting. Did you write the bit about the costume, blue and white with a star in his chest? Like, what's the inspiration for that?
So the blue field represents basically a constellation, the white star, a new state. And that kind of jives with the U.S. flag. People think red, white, and blue, but there's the white and the blue in it. But what also is interesting, though, is the Confederate States also use that. That same thing. And it symbolized a seceded state for the Confederates.
Right.
So
Israel kind of wants to secede from Palestine, or they want to take over Palestine completely, or
I think for this he wanted some purposeful crypticness, basically.
Interesting.
Is what does it really mean? It could go a couple of ways.
Right. So, all right, so let's continue here, Giselle.
Cut to Palestinian villagers running, screaming, crying in the face of the city's destruction.
I think you missed a line.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you missed the line, yeah.
Ben Shapiro appears in midair, eyes blazing, right arm extended to the tower. Laser fire bursts from his eyes.
Classic.
So lasers burst from his eyes.
Yeah.
So what? Is that like his special attack, or did he tell you to do that specifically?
It's his superpowers. Again, if he's a superhero, he's going to have a number of things that are going to come up in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then there's another.
You know how?
Yeah, go on.
Not everything is always explained right up front. They keep you waiting, which we do, and he already talked about a sequel. I mean,
really, already?
Yeah,
that's kind of arrogant.
Well, yeah, you're telling me.
You know firsthand. So there's another handwritten note here. So Giselle, can you please read this line again? It says, "Cut to Palestinian."
Villagers running, screaming, crying at the face of the city's destruction.
So there's a handwritten note here. It says, "Stress the romance via the soundtrack." And this is like I don't know. To me, this stood out to me probably more than any other handwritten note. It's a scene of innocent Palestinian people running and in panic, and there's a handwritten note that says, "Stress the romance via the soundtrack." That's kind of heavy.
It's very heavy. It's very disturbing.
I don't like that.
Yeah, well, frankly, it's all very disturbing.
It is.
I didn't, you don't know completely what you're getting yourself into when you sign on to be a writer for a project.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta tell you.
Hey, no one's condemning. You are the hero here, not Ben. You're blowing the whistle on this. So.
Right. But it's still upsetting. So,
it is, absolutely. So, continue here, Giselle.
Cut to Ben Shapiro swooping down towards the city streets as the citizens flee.
And then we have some dialogue by Ben Shapiro here. I don't know if Dirk wants to do his Ben Shapiro voiceover here.
I am Ben Shapiro, okay? Survivor of the Age of Apathy. I have been sent to protect the innocent and reclaim what is rightfully mine, okay?
Very good, Dirk. That's our producer. So there's some dialogue there by Ben Shapiro saying, "I am Ben Shapiro." Earlier it said his actual name is to be decided. Yep. Survivor of the Age of Apathy. Like, what do you think he's referring to there? Or if you wrote this line, was this a script note or?
Yeah, not my line, but the Age of Apathy. It just goes to all of his political beliefs, which frankly are all over the place.
Yeah.
And not consistent. I mean, so I can't speak to that particular one.
Yeah, and then there's another handwritten note. It says, "Add something about beheadings done by Hamas." So that, to me, correlates with the actual atrocities that happened on October 7th.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
So it's weird to me that the script was written, and then a handwritten note by Ben or the producers wanted to add another element that happened 2 months later than the script was written.
Well, yeah. And what was he and George Santos doing in Tel Aviv a month before this attack?
That is, one of the most damning.
You're telling me. And I guarantee now that I've let this out, they're going to search flight records and things of that sort. Their passports were scanned. You know that. So he's going to have some answering to do. Absolutely.
Interesting. So I know we only have you for a few more minutes here. I don't want to keep you. I know you have other interviews and work you have to do, but let's continue on the script here. Giselle?
Extended shot as Ben Shapiro lands among the stunned civilians below. He raises his eyes, steely and determined.
End this senseless war and let peace rule the land.
Okay, so he's taking Israel's keeping the peace stance. That's consistent with Ben's beliefs.
That is true.
Giselle, continue.
Extended shot of Ben Shapiro fighting off an endless wave of Palestinian fighters. His eye beams sear through the darkness and bullets ricochet off his chest. As he throws his fists and dodges enemy fire, a brilliant blue light blazes from his forehead.
I have come to put an end to this battle. I have the power of justice, truth, and facts and logic on my side.
So, based on what John's been portraying Ben as behind the scenes, is kind of very self-satisfied, heroic, over the top.
Spot on. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what it seems like.
Yeah.
Bullets ricocheting off his chest, the brilliant blue light.
It's, and if only October 7th didn't happen, but this movie would be laughable.
Right.
And now it'll never see the light of day, of course, except for, the script being revealed and this whole insanity of
that's the hope.
what's gone down. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we have just a couple more lines here. Giselle?
The skies roar with thunder and lightning as Ben Shapiro yet again triumphs over the enemy. Peace reigns over the land as the citizens of the city rejoice and embrace one another. Ben Shapiro stands tall with a smile of victory. Fade out Marvel logo.
All right, because this is actually was intended to be a Marvel movie.
Well, in his mind it was. It doesn't mean...
Marvel, company didn't actually technically accept it yet.
Yeah, no. But,
okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
So
but,
Ben saves the day
also,
here. Go on.
Yeah, it looks to me like he's setting himself up to elevate himself even further, politically, perhaps. I don't really know his motivations. But because he's just behind the scenes, I got to tell you, he is just a non-stop a-hole.
So I was actually wondering why, so you leaked this script to us. Why? What was your decision process in doing that?
Just every day, there's some BS with him.
So I was is it because this is weighing on your conscience, or?
Well, yeah, right, and just the constant douchebaggery of this guy is just off the charts, and people need to know.
Like what? What do you mean?
Jeez, off the top of my head, he knows I have a peanut allergy, and he'll order pad thai and sit down right next to me with it wafting in my nose and tightening my chest, and he thinks it's funny.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, just nonstop stuff like that. He would buy donuts for the writing crew. He knows I love glaze, and not once did he get glazed donuts, and he knows that's my favorite. I mean, he is just a nonstop jerk, and I'm being polite and saying it that way. It's just thing after thing after thing after thing with him.
Did you do something to make him hate you, or sounds like he has a personal vendetta against you?
Yeah, but then why did he hire me? Just to torment me every day? I mean,
sounds like he has
really?
been.
Is that what you want to do to your writers? So, or one of your writers? Oh, and he would call me a gino. Just because
a gino,
Jew in name only, like Rhino, Republican in Gino. You never heard that?
No.
Yeah. So yeah. He would call me that all the time because my political beliefs don't completely align with his.
Wow.
So.
He is very outspoken politically, so that makes sense. That's crazy. He did that stuff to you.
Completely. It's just thing after thing after thing like that.
Making a